Hello and welcome back to Elden Ring. This is part 13 of the run where we prepare for the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC. In the last 3 parts, we went through the entirety of Caelid. Specifically, the things that are most important here are that we took out Fort Faroth, and that we took out Star Scourge Radahn. And once you take out Star Scourge Radahn, then you'll get a cutscene, and you'll get a marker on the map near Fort Height West. And so heading there, you will see there's a bit of a change of scenery. And so we can head on down this path over here, where there will be an opening that will allow us to check this out. Down here, there's a message seemingly sent by Blythe telling us to go on ahead, and because of that, we are free to move on forwards. And down here, you sadly won't be able to ride your horse for much longer, so this is somewhat of another legacy dungeon, though a bit unique in its verticality. And heading through this doorway, we can see Nokron, the Eternal City. And here we can jump down a bunch of buildings, and here you're gonna have to run jump for it, but you can land onto this thing, which allows you to hop up here, where you can get a new crafting material in the Silver Tear Husk. And then here, there's a corpse, and there's nothing on it now, but it gets you the Ghost Flame Torch, an intelligence-based torch that does magic damage, but more importantly, it burns blue. You may wonder why I have it in my possession already, and the answer is pretty simple. Right as I was starting to do this, my power cut out. And that's why there were no items up to this point. Though, thankfully the power cut out pretty early, and you can probably tell where it cut out based on there being an item here. So, if the gameplay looks weird, or if my audio sounds weird, that's why, because it completely destroyed my mic. I think I got it working again, but we'll see. So continuing on, there is a rune arc, which can be used to activate great runes if you use those as part of your build. And here, you can probably tell by now, there's a new enemy type here. These are Silver Tears, and they are going to be one of the 2 basic enemies of this area, or you can maybe say up to 4, depending on where you are. Though back here, there's a Smithing Stone 5. And that and the Ghost Flame Torch are the 2 most important items for now. Though here, this is the second basic enemy type of the area, and they can have a few different weapons. There's a type with a sword and a torch, there's a kind with a bow, one with a spear and shield, and one with a great shield. And then here, there's a set of grace, don't forget to level up if you can. And then from there you can continue on out into Nokron, Eternal City again. And up here, there's the Ghost Glowwort Picker's Bell Bearing 1. Just immediately right there. And this will allow you to purchase Ghost Glowwort 1, 2, and 3. Ghost Glowwort are for upgrading the super special named ashes. So you can now get all of those to +3 if you have the runes to drop for it. Though, if you aren't sure if you want to use them yet, there is a very powerful and popular one coming up. So, you may want to keep an eye out for that. As you can see there, we got a Smithing Stone 3. By this point, you should probably be moving past that. More into 4s and 5s. Though, if you're carrying 2 weapons, unlike me just carrying 1, you may find a few more 3s useful. And here there's a larval tier which allows you to respec in case you want to create a different build without creating an entirely new character. Here there's a Smithing Stone 5. Over here there's some Ghost Glowworts. And as you can see, I'm just running past all the enemies for the sake of time. You may find it better to kill them. So here is the Great Shield Soldier Ashes, which is a very defensive Spirit Ash. So you may enjoy that if you have a more defensive playstyle, especially when it comes to the Spirit Ashes. And then continuing to head down, there's this gazebo here with another larval tier and a trap, so keep an eye out for that. Now, you may find it weird that I'm doing a strength build with an incantation, which is perfectly normal to think about. But as you can see, my health is going up pretty decently, and it's all passive, and I'm not even done with the health regen, so it's gonna get even stronger. Now here, there's a boss, and many people like to cheese this boss, because as you can see, they copy your build entirely. So, some people like to unequip all of their weapons and armor, and then come in and then re-equip them after the boss forms to get a very easy kill. And that is something you can do. As you can see, I didn't, though no one would blame you if you went with that. Just because of how Elden Ring's bosses are. Take the wins where you can. Take the easy fights where you can. Especially with how there's just the endless animation readers in Elden Ring. And the endless roll spam. So, if you want to unequip your weapons and armor, you can. Makes the fight easier. Or you can fight them legit. Either way, 10,000 runes, 2 larval tiers, and the silver tier mask. And the silver tier mask is a headpiece that boosts your arcane stat by 8 points. So, if you're going to Arcane, that may interest you. And then, heading down this bridge, you can get a Somber Smithing Stone 5, one of the rare smithing stones, and then you can continue on down the bridge. Once you hit these giant pillars, you'll want to take a left, so you can head down onto this lower section, where you'll meet the normal enemies for this area, or this section, which you've probably seen this enemy type before, and you just want to follow the path until you hear the singing. Then you want to head off to the left, where you can get this Site of Grace. This is going to be your main recurring Site of Grace, and you're going to come back here a few times. It is the Ancestral Woods, so you may want to put the little check mark by it, or favorite it. So for now, we're going to jump down here, and we're just going to follow this path down into the Knight's Sacred Ground. And once you get to here, you may hear an enemy in the background. And Brunark, that's the enemy. They have a crossbow, they shoot you, and you can move back here, and they may fall to their deaths. Which, as you can see, I was lucky and it happened. They fall into that gap there trying to get close to you. Though, if you want to come down and fight them legit, you can. Though that does run the risk. I know out English. But it runs the risk of aggroing this enemy as well, which would put you into a 1-on-2. And despite not having any armor equipped, they do have a decent bit of poise. So you can't just R1 stun them. Though, continuing on, we can drop down here, and as you can see, I popped Bestial Vitality, which gets you 600 HP over a period of time. So if you want to copy my build, that's a pretty good thing to get. So here you can get the Black Wet Blade, which allows you to put the affinity of Poison, Blood, or Occult on your weapon. Poison gives poison buildup, Blood gives blood buildup, and Occult gives you arcane scaling. And then over here, there's a Fog Wall, which can be dissipated using a Stone Sword key. And I would highly suggest this. Not for the Smithing Stone 3, but for what this enemy here is protecting. You see, in this chest, there's a Spirit Ash, one that gets you mimicked here. This is one of the most popular Spirit Ashes, and one of the most powerful, because it copies the player's build. And so, all of your weapons, it comes with all of your armor, it comes with all of your talismans, it comes with... And here, there's Nox Flowing Hammer. Not super special, but not bad, and it's on the path, so we can grab it. And here, if you want to kill that giant ball, you do get a larval tear out of it, or you can just run past them. Either way works. And either way, you get this Site of Grace, just in case you die. And in case you're wondering, the Mimic Tier Spirit Ash has infinite FP. And so if you're using a build that relies heavily on skills, and especially magic builds, it's very, very good. Because you can have some very high FP cost spells, either sorceries or incantations, and you might have to limit how many times you use them because of the FP cost, but Mimic here can just spam them forever. And so builds like the one I'm creating in this run, where you're very defensive, where you have all of this like passive health regeneration, and you're just built like a tank, so lots of health, lots of HP regens, lots of survivability. Mimic Tier is very, very good for those builds, and they're also very, very good for magic builds because of that infinite FP. And so if you're running a build like me, or a magic build, I would highly suggest Mimic Tier. So with that being said, we can continue on down this pathway, and that enemy right there, as you can see, some of them turn into enemies. That one turns into a giant troll. So if you want to fight them, you can, or you can avoid them without too much issue. So here, there's a dead end with a chest, giving you Finger Slayer Blade, a key item needed for Ronnie's quest, and a Great Ghost Glowwort, which can get these special Spirit Ashes to the maximum upgrade. And then that teleporter we stopped in front of brings you back to Ancestral Ashes. And here, we can teleport back to Ronnie's Rise. And we're not here to give her the Finger Slayer Blade. Not yet. Instead, we're going to come out and head to the left, which this is something you could have done before, but it becomes very relevant now. And here, you can kind of see the outline of an illusory wall that lets you head down into here, where you can get a message from Sylvis and another illusory wall. And you will need to come down here later if you go and do Selen's quest. Though as you look around, you can see lots of people that have been turned into puppets. And now we can head southeast to go talk to Sylvis and confront him about what he's got going on there.
Begging for another... You break into a man... Oh, fish, fine, and you trick me. I believe that you yearn for... Well, but perhaps now.
So he allows you to get one of these puppets for free. And Dolores the Sleeping Arrow is the most expensive, because you can get all three, but after the first one they cost you.
Begging for another...
So I tend to go with Dolores just because they're the most expensive and you can get the first one for free. Now here, you have to reload the area, not by quitting the game, but by teleporting back to the Site of Grace.
Begging for another... Begging...
I didn't know that. So instead of us agreeing that that was just me making a mistake, we can say that that was for educational purposes, and it was me showing you that it doesn't work, and that you have to teleport back to the previous site of grace. We can all agree on that, right? That that was educational and not a mistake. Either way, we can head back down and we can talk to him once more.
Begging for a... What's that? Quite the keen power, but I'm afraid each I can... Oh, dear. Why don't you... If you can... The soul of every... And once... Oh, yes.
And as you can see, you now require starlight shards. First one takes 2, second one takes 3, Dolores takes 5, which is why I picked her for free. And if you want these 2, it takes a total of 5, which we have 4 right now.
You're proving to be quite the puppeteer. I've not had an apprentice. Begging for an...
And then from there, you can talk to him about the scheme.
Perhaps you'd be interested in a little scheme of mine. It will produce the finest of puppets, which I aspire to cherish with these very hands. A ploy to fool even Lady Rani. How does that sound? I knew I had you pegged. You're just like me. Then I'd like you to procure something. A rather unique starlight shard that glistens with that, and even a...
And from there, you need to head into Eltis Plateau. You can do that either from the Grand Lift of Dectus, which you need 2 halves, one gotten from Fort Height, and the second one gotten from Fort Faroth, which is why it was important. Or you can go through the Ravine-Veiled Village, though that requires you beating a boss. And on top of that, going through the Grand Lift also just spawns you closer to where you need to go. So that's why I'm going with that. So we can ride up, and we can take the teleporter, because that's effectively speaking what it is. And after 2 cutscenes, we make it into the Eltis Plateau. Now, over here by these rocks, there's going to be a site of grace, and this is supposed to be your first foothold into the region. And that's just in case you die, or if you want to get back here later. For now, we're going to head out onto this main road, and we're just gonna follow it. Up until you see that giant structure. Then you're going to head slightly off to the left towards this giant cliff face. And there's like 3 different elevations you can take here. You want to take the lowest. And that gets you access to this little cave section, where inside there's going to be a lot of these small enemies. You want to kill them just to let you teleport out, so that way they aren't aggroed onto you. And also in here there are lots of sacramental buds, which are rare crafting items. So you may want to pick these up, though that's not why we're here. We are here for the Amber Starlight. this is what Sylvis was looking for. And so, once again, we can head over to Ronnie's Rise. And we can once again head down to Sylvis to give him that. Though, we're not actually going to go through with his plan. We're just giving this to him so we can get a reward. This is one that is pretty often overlooked in my experience, from what I've seen. So, that's why I'm showing it.
Begging for a... Well, well. You managed to lay your hands on it. The blessed day is finally upon us. Goodness, to think, my... Yes, I should give you your reward. Yeah, please. It's all yours. It's splendid work. It's just marvelous.
The Magic Scorpion Charm.
Now just you wait. The scheme.
You done? Okay, so Magic Scorpion Charm is a talisman that raises magic attack, though lowers damage negation. So if your build is heavily reliant on magic damage, or heavily involves magic damage, there you go.
You'll be the secret, I promise.
And you may want to get the sorceries and puppets now. You don't have to, but especially the sorceries, it'll be easier if you just get them now. Because we are going to not kill him, but he's not going to survive very long standing against Ronnie.
It's finally complete. The perfection of my draft, gleaming nectar sweet. Give it to Rani and ensure she drinks it.
So that gets us the Amber Draft.
The dead-eyed doll, so she might dip.
You done? Okay, so this is basically the same thing he did to Nefeli, but he wants to do it to Ronnie. I would suggest not doing it. It will not work well. I decided to pick it up just because I like having it in my inventory. And until we get access to the DLC, who knows, maybe we'll be able to use it somewhere there, so that's why I grabbed it. But here, we can head back to the Ancestral Wood Site of Grace. And we did that side, so now we can do this side. And on this side, there's 6 of these. You may remember these if you did the underground sections. So there are multiple items just sprinkled about. Not focused on those, I'm focused on the more important things. So there was the first, here's the second, just down the path. And then you want to head off the path down here for the third. And as you can tell, these are a lot closer together than the previous one. So this is where you need to go once you've lit all 6. And you can either go the way I did or go back to the path and follow it to the very end. Either way works for you to get access to this 4th flame. And then from there, you want to continue forward and off to the left And here over the hill, you'll see the pillar. And there's some enemies here, along with the scarab. The scarab doesn't matter. It's just for an ash of war for a bow. So, if you're going with a bow build, that might interest you. Though, for more people, that 5th flame will be more interesting. And then you can jump down here. And this isn't for the flames. It's for something else. You see, right here is a Ghost Glowwort 5. One of the rarest Ghost Glowworts there are. Like, we have more 10s than 5s, just to put things into perspective. And as you can see with the title pop-up, that was actually the first one we've gotten. So, that'll help you upgrade the super special ashes. And then over here, there's an enemy with a new attack. And if that attack interests you, then might want to take out this enemy, because behind them is a chest with an item. The Ancestral Infant's Head. This is another thing like Mimic's Veil, where it's a consumable item, but you can use it repeatedly for the cost of a small amount of FP. And so, as you can see there, it does a little attack, sprays out some mist that does, I believe, magic damage. Not super powerful, but it's unique, and you may find it fun. From there, we can head over to the 6th and final flame, where you'll get the pop-up saying that the power is gathering, meaning you can now fight the boss. And here, there's a Somber Smithing Stone 5, a pretty rare Smithing Stone, and then you can just follow the right wall back to this Site of Grace. Don't forget to level up if you can. And then from this Site of Grace, you just head down this right path, and then you head left of the giant tree, and then just straight forward and up the stairs. And you will quickly find your way into the Hellowhorn grounds. This is where you need to go to fight the boss. So you can touch the horn remains, and it'll teleport you to this different location, or you can head on in and take the fight. And they have this attack, which does a lot of damage and heals them. So this fight is a DPS check. So best of luck, but if you can take them out, you get 24,000 runes and Remembrance of the Regal Ancestor. And from there you can head to the Round Table Hold, because just like every other remembrance, you can take that and cash it in with Enya. This one specifically can get you a Great Hammer or Ancestral Spirit's Horn, which is a talisman that restores FP upon defeating enemies, which is really, really good. So, for this build, there's Bestial Vitality, which takes some FP. There's also weapon skills. If you're doing a magic build, then obviously you need FP for sorceries and incantations. So it's pretty good for a lot of different builds. By itself, it's not going to do too much, but mixed with like the sacrificial axe, or there are some other weapons that give you FP back, along with the assassin cerulean dagger, they can really add up to get you a lot of FP back. Now here, you want to head forward, but instead of going left, you want to head off to the right. And you should spot some glowing jellyfish. And if you continue on to the right, then you can get on top of the Hellowhorn grounds, where you can find the Mottled Necklace +1. And this is the talisman that raises robustness, immunity, and focus. Immunity is for poison and scarlet rot, robustness is for frost and bleed, focus is for sleep and madness. And so it does everything except for Deathblight buildup. Though it doesn't do them as, like, it isn't as potent or as powerful, but it does stack with the immunizing horn charm, the clarifying horn charm, all those, it stacks with them, so pretty good to get. And then there was a stone sword key, and a few other items sprinkled about before landing on another site of grace. And this, the aqueduct facing cliffs, is going to be your new main site of grace to come back to. For now, there's a summoning pool in case you need help, and then you can jump down onto here, and you can jump down onto here into the Siofra Aqueduct. And off to the right, there will be a Crucible Knight, one of the sword and shield ones, and you can fight them, and at half health, they're going to do something interesting, so we can wait for that, as I personally find it to be pretty funny. At half health, they do a stomp and then fly into the air, and if you position the right way, they will die to gravity and get you the Crucible Horn Shield. And here, this is a cookbook that lets you create the Sacred Order Pot, which is decent for faith builds. Though I'm not going to pick it up, as this character is not a faith build. Though, having done that, we can continue on. There's only one way to go, really. As you can see, most of the areas are broken. So, continuing on this way, once we head through this door, there's 3 ways to go. Left, forward, or right. We are going to head forward first, where there's a few enemies. We can just take them out quickly. Then we can continue on down this staircase, and there's nothing super special here. Though there is a scarab that gets you an incantation. One of Order Healing for Deathblight buildup. And then there's a few golden runes. Though the main reason we came here was just to take out the enemies, so that way we can fight the other Crucible Knight in peace. Which, speaking of, that's who we're going after next. And thinking about it now, I could have edited this out. However, these fights are very fun. And they're pretty few and far between, so we're gonna enjoy them when we can. No idea what happened there. We played a bit sloppy, but we took them out, and Somber Smithing Stone 6, and next to them is a Smithing Stone 5. And then we can continue on through the rest of this area. There's nothing special in the rest of this section. It's just some of these basic underground enemies and the Smithing Stone 4. Though there are some golden centipedes and a rune arc in this room. But outside of that, mostly just enemies. Though if you come off to the right here, then there's an NPC. Now, he's not saying anything right now, and if you want to continue on his quest, you'll need to head back to the Round Table Hold to continue Dee's quest. And to do that, you need to head off to Fia and talk to her.
Would you like now? You are.
You want to go with, may I ask a favor?
My dear, my time. Could you please? It's a very. So I would. Then good.
That will get you a weathered dagger, which you need to give to Dee to continue on their quest. Though, since you're here, you may also want to upgrade your weapons and spirit ashes, as we're about to go into a somewhat difficult fight.
Well, I took you no matter to lay out your own.
Greet, are you here for...
Good time to start upgrading the Mimic Tier ashes, if that one interested you. And as you can see, can't upgrade either of these anymore. And my wolves are at +6. Mimic Tier is at +5. So yeah, not much of a difference. But now you can give that weathered dagger to Dee.
You've then owned, I think, your power.
You may want to purchase his incantations, because he's about to have a syllabus.
Well, how did you... Well, I know very... Why don't I... Good work.
So we can rest at the Site of Grace. He's gone. And if you check, Fia will be gone as well. And this door over here will be opened. And you can go see what they're on about.
Find the stolen. And now, though I ask, I am Harkra. We live in what right? Our Lord.
And with that, Fia's gone. Dee is dead. And you get the twinned armor set. And then you can head back to the aqueduct facing cliffs. And you can once again head down to that NPC. Though, with the Crucible Knights dead and having us gotten all of the items, the run through Siofra Aqueduct will be much, much faster now. And you could go get the twin set before coming here, though you may lose a few healing flasks making it through the area, which is why I did it the way that I did. And then you can hand the twin set over to this NPC. Doing so will make you lose the armor set, but you will get it back in the next area. So don't worry too much about that. And having given him the armor set, you can run up here, or you can then summon him. And as I said before, this fight can be somewhat difficult, and so you may want to have a strong Spirit Ash. You may want to come in with the summons. And going with Bestial Vitality and the Physic Flask and Mimic Tier and an NPC, all of that may seem like a bit of overkill for this one Valiant Gargoyle. Though, at a certain HP threshold, a second one comes in, and they also have an attack where they spew poison onto the ground, which does damage over time and causes poison, which can be very dangerous. Though, once you take them out, you get 22,500 runes, a great sword, and a twin blade. Though, more importantly, in the back corner, you get a coffin, which after 2 cutscenes places you into Deeproot Depths, another underground area. And we're not doing this time. We're just going to get the Site of Grace and then head back to Ronnie's Rise. And we can do Deeproot Depths in the next part. For now, we did everything in Nokron, by the way, so that's entirely done. We just have a few things in other areas, mainly here in Ronnie's Rise. So we're going to head up, and we are finally going to give the Finger Slayer Blade to Ronnie. Though here, there's administered draft. Don't do it, it will not end well.
Not blood. Even in my... It is in my thanks. Soon must I be... My strange... I am so... I must thank you, May. It was but... What is it? I too...
So, the thing that she gave us as a reward, the Carrion Inverted Statue, that allows you access to another area. A second version of Carrion Study Hall. Though we're not going to be doing that this time, we will do it as part of a later video. Though you can do it right now if you want. Also, Amber Draft. Again, I'm not going to use it. It does not end well. Though I picked it up, I'm going to keep it. And that's mostly just to have it in your inventory, but partially just to see if it can be used anywhere in the DLC, because I'm curious. And then down here, we can go and we can talk to Selvus. again, if you want to get the sorceries or the puppets, now is the time to do so. But if you're done with him, you can exit the game, reload in, and he will be dead. And from him, you can pick up his bell bearing to get the sorceries and his preceptor set. And then you can also examine his body to get the puppets. So don't worry, you're not locked out of anything. It's just, it is how it is. And then from there, you can head down to talk to Pidia again.
Stop, please stop. You're my puppet. I loved you with all I have. How could...
And here, you get Pidia's bell bearing. And if you gave Nefeli Lou the draft, you get her puppet. If you gave Dung Eater the draft, you get his puppet. If neither, then you would get Dolores the Sleeping Arrow. So, that what you get there really depends. And then here, for the final time, we're going to head on to Ronnie's Rise. Almost the final time. And the goal here is Rena's Rise. If you want to go from the final site of grace in Caria Manor, the one that you get for taking out Loretta, you can do that, and it actually is faster. Though, getting here, there was once a seal keeping you out, no more, and you can head into Rena's Rise and up the ladder, and then if you turn around from here, there's actually a chest. Inside, you get the Snow Witch set. Quite popular among sorcery builds. And from there, at the top, instead of a chest, there's a teleporter. This will bring you to an entirely new underground location. Einzil River, Maine. Right here you can pick up miniature Ronnie, and just like Deeproot Depths, we're not doing this. Not this time. We can do this after Deeproot Depths. Though, we got them just to have them going into future parts. For now, that's everything in Nokron. And so, that area is completely taken out. And again, this run is to go through every weapon, shield, armor set, talisman, spirit ash, physic tier, and cookbook that you will need no matter what build you're going with. Forgot to say it in the beginning, but I can say it here. And that's it. I hope you continue to follow me through on this run so we can prepare for the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC together. And with that being said, yeah.